So there is a phrase that I want to teach you guys today. Go cope, not broke. Repeat after me. Go cope, not broke. It's a very important phrase that I've unintentionally been living by. This set is a perfect example of applying that phrase. Let me go ahead and tell you about it. Hey, awesome friends. I am Awesome Danny. Welcome back to the channel. And this is the upside down LetShuoer Cadenza 4. Before we get into it, I do want to thank LetShuoer for sending this out for review. I am part of the tour for this in the US, so I get to try it out, and then after I'm done, ship it on to the next person. The Cadenza 4 is a single dynamic driver plus 3 balanced armature IEM. MSRP is $249, but I've seen it on sale recently. It even got down to like $200, which is actually a very good deal. So unboxing was actually really cool. I liked this because they didn't go big or wasteful, but they made use of all the space that they had. Kept the box relatively small, but made the unboxing fun. So there's a flap here. You open it up. There's a little drawer down there. And then up here, you get your invitation letter to Sci-Fi Hogwarts. Imagine there was a Sci-Fi Hogwarts. What do you think the houses would be? Let's see. One would be Raven hype. Yeah, for all those hype beasts out there that like to just bandwagon on every new set, rave about it, hype it up. And then we got Huff and Mud. For all you muddy enjoyers that like to huff that mud and really enjoy that bloat. Let's see, what's another one? Oh, what about Grief and Cope? For all you guys that end up feeling some sort of grief and cope over your purchases. We've all been there. And for the last one, we'll do Sniffing. Yeah, perfect. Sniffing. You got your graph sniffers, your measure baiters, all you nerds that just look at lines instead of listening to sets. There we go. 4 houses of Sci-Fi Hogwarts. Let me know in the comments which house do you think I would be in and which house you would like to be in. All right, moving on. Accessories. This set is well accessorized. It's not a lot of stuff that you get, but you get everything you need and it's all good quality. You get 2 sets of ear tips, which are pretty thin and kind of soft, but they seal well and they work well. Like one's regular bore and one's wider bore. Both sets worked fine and were comfortable. You get a hockey puck style case that's like a hard plastic, so it's rigid and has a matte finish. It feels really nice. And then you get a very nice cable with modular plugs, and you get 3 plugs, 2.5 for some reason. Who uses 2.5 millimeter anymore? Let me know if you use 2.5. If you use 2.5, you're probably in the Sniffing house or Grief and Cope. Yeah, one of those two probably. Then you get the Chad 3.5 millimeter plug, and then you get the overcompensating 4.4 millimeter plug. That's the one I use. The cable is nice. I like the cable. It's just kind of stiff. It is a little bit on the thicker side and it's 2-core. So sometimes it likes to try to do its own thing. It doesn't kink, but it holds a little bit of memory. And while using it like on walks, sometimes it feels like I needed to unplug from my DAP and then strain it out and replug. So if you don't want to, have to pull it out and then strain it out and then put it back in out in public, this cable might not be for you. For the shell itself, we have a 3D printed resin material shell, and the faceplate is aluminum, as our friends from across the pond would say. Overall, the set looks unfinished. Like they just 3D printed the shell and then slapped the faceplate on there, and that was it. It's okay. It's not bad, but I prefer a little bit more pizzazz or flair with my sets. So I do wish it was a little bit prettier or had a little bit more to it. Nozzle is on the thicker side. It is around 6.5 millimeters at its thickest point. Some of you guys might know how big that is. I didn't have any fit issues, just tip rolling, make sure that you get the right tips going. For this set, since the nozzle is a little bit bigger and it had a little bit of a deeper fit, I had to go one size down on my ear tips. Usually I go medium. I had just dropped down to small. Everything was fine. Overall, great package, good unboxing, great inclusions. It feels cohesive and well put together. It feels like a complete product. Like everything in this is for this IM. So great job, LetShuoer. Well put together. And now it's time for graph sniffing. So let's go ahead and sniff some graph. Let me get that for you. Here it is. All right, so go ahead and take some deep whiffs of that graph while I go over my keywords for the sound signature. So my keywords for this set are neutral, level, polished, transparent, and restrained. All right, now let's go ahead and get into actual impressions. So starting off with the overall signature, it just feels neutral and safe. That's pretty much the entire thing here. There is a couple of little quirks, you know, where it tries to get zany with you because it's so quirky and zany, but overall it's just pretty chill. Very nice set. I actually really enjoyed this set. Bass was very different than expected. Like, it's there. It lets you know it's there. You know it's there. You can hear it. Just not as much of that visceral feeling out of it, especially in the sub bass. Decent rumble, not a lot. Very neutral. Overall balanced presentation, even though the mid bass can feel a little bit polite, it's there. You hear it. Impact is kind of rounded, a little soft. It's just overall the bass just feels polite, you know, a little timid. Mid-range is very clean. It's just so smooth, especially vocals. Vocals on the set were pretty nice. They were, you know, balanced, neutral. It's just, that's what this set is. But vocals very smooth, effortless. They were there. They didn't push too much. Not intense in any way whatsoever, even with my library, which, you know, has a lot of female vocal emphasis. But both male and female vocals were chill, smooth, pleasant. And again, vocals and the instruments kind of were level. They were more so in the mix instead of above or ahead of the mix. Slightly on the thinner side of neutral, not completely thin. To me, they were adequate, but I feel like a lot of people that like that warmth might feel like this is thin. Treble is okay. Overall, it's kind of dull for my taste. It comes off as just balanced and fine. It's adequate, but I enjoy a little bit more sparkle, a little bit more shimmer. This set was pretty restrained in the treble, except for in the lower treble, there was a little bit of a boost, so it added some refinement to the overall sound. But also, depending on my source, it sometimes made female vocals just a bit sibilant. It just added a little bit of edge. The techs are pretty good for the price. I would consider them about average for price, maybe a little bit above average. It does a good job of bringing details to life, even though the details do have a little bit of a soft edge to them. So they're there, just a little bit softer and not as concisely defined. Stage felt, I don't want to say crowded, but there was less space than normal, or at least than average, between sounds. So just felt like stuff was a little closer together. Timbre was okay. It felt fine. It's just sometimes it felt a little dry and just not enough body to it. So this is where that phrase that I shared with you guys at the beginning comes into play, because this set actually reminds me a lot of the set we're going to compare it to, which is this guy right here that stays on my desk forever. I use this set like every day. It is by far my most used IM currently. This is the Studio 4, and we're going to compare this to the Cadenza 4. So overall, Studio 4 is just a way better IM. It is a considerable difference, but both of these have very similar character. It's almost like they were made from the same DNA. They go for a very similar sound. The characteristics are all there. It's just Cadenza 4 is less than half the price and gets you pretty close to the experience that you would get with the Studio 4. Techs are just a clear upgrade on the Studio 4, especially separation and stage. Overall, they both have that same kind of laid back, more neutral, little bit smoothed over approach. And they both suck for gaming. they're really bad for gaming. Like, you can kind of hear stuff, nothing pops out. It's just so smooth over. Like, don't get these for gaming, which is funny because since I use Studio 4 a lot, I actually game with them a lot because they're already on. But man, it's rough. But overall, like I said, these are close. Like, if you want this experience but at less than half the price, you got to try the Cadenza 4. And yes, this is better, but again, more than twice the price, and there's not very many compromises with this guy. This guy's good in its own regard, especially for the price. I know I keep mentioning price. It's very important. If you can cope something, that's better than going broke over something. Go cope, not broke. You can't know what you're missing if you've never tried it. Like, unless you have it in hand and you can compare directly, you won't know what you're missing. So it doesn't matter. Get something good and enjoy it. But this brings me to the rec rating of the Cadenza 4. So this is a solid rec rating 3 for me. It's a no-brainer. It's a great set. There is some compromises, but it's mostly just in the sound and if it's being compared to something more expensive. But overall, the set is a complete package, very fairly priced. I feel like there's good value here because you get all the accessories you need, and then the sound is very good. So this is an easy set for me to recommend if you want something more on the Studio 4 side of things, where you get some very good correct timbre in the mid-range, more laid back presentation that kind of just gives you the music but doesn't do anything with it, just lets you listen to it. Texts are good, engaging, especially for the price. It's a very versatile set. It's going to do pretty much everything well. I will link it in the description if you want to go ahead and check it out. Thank you guys for tuning in. Make sure that you consider liking and subscribing so that way you don't miss out any future content. Other than that, I am Awesome Danny, and until next time, you stay awesome, friends. Bye. Sunny's pulse so soft and white, quiet steps in the moonlight.